High school. No friends at first. I kind of made some friends. Um, Not really. We didn't spend any time outside of school. We just uh, in our lunch period, we would just talk about Monty Python and the Holy Grail. We would be constantly quoting it, talking about the Saturday Night Live episodes we had seen. This was like in the early '90s when SNL was funny and just hilarious to watch before it got really stupid. I wasn't in many honors classes except for English. I dropped out of honors chemistry and such. It was just kind of too much for me. I was not in honors math, but I was in like the grade above me for math. I dropped out of calculus. It was too hard. Then I went into like college algebra, that kind of stuff. I took some computer programming classes, basic, and then the later it was Pascal, and it's just like really old stuff. We were using Apple II GS computers. Those were beautiful computers. I mean, Macintoshes, at least back then, they were all black and white, but the Apple II GS, that was a really, really cool computer. I was in a computer club for a little bit, but it was also like computer club and chess club put together, and everybody wanted to play chess, and I really wasn't into chess, so nothing ever happened with that. I took some humanities classes, and I fell in love with classical music. Also, I really loved photography class because I was able to, explore my artistic creativity with photography, and I still do that today. But music, again. Okay, so my first year of high school, I was just tired of all the top 40 pop music, and I I thought it was just crap. And I started hearing about bands like Echo and the Bunnymen, and like I had seen Talking Heads as Once in a Lifetime video, and I thought that was really cool and nerdy, and I'm like, there's got to be stuff out there. 1990, Depeche Mode's Violator album was released, and I started to really get a good feel for there was some cool music out there I needed to find, and there's more stuff than just top 40. Top 40 is it's for the masses, and it teaches the masses to be average. That's no good. So I knew about bands like New Order and Tears for Fears and U2, but I didn't know there was a real place for it. And then I learned about the concept of alternative music, and this was in the early 90s, like 1990, 91, when alternative music really was alternative. And then I found out, like, this is in the local Phoenix, Arizona area, KUKQ 1060 AM, and I tuned into it, and I think like the first time I tuned into it, or one of the first few times, I heard Reap the Wild Wind by Ultravox, and it was coming through in the crackly static AM band, and it just sounded just perfect. Like it was like I found a treasure, like a buried treasure that nobody knew about, and it was like Plato's cave. And it was like this epiphany, People would ask me, what kind of music do you like? And I'm like, alternative music. And they're like, alternative to what? And I'm like, alternative to what you listen to, apparently. I really found what I was looking for all along, and bands like Mighty Lemon Drops, Charlatans UK, Peter Murphy, Psychedelic Furs, Material Issue, the great nerd rockers like Elvis Costello, Talking Heads, They Might Be Giants, Devo. I fell in love with the Ocean Blue, and that band still remains my favorite band of all time. Very intellectual, contemplative, very UK inspired, because I was much more into the music from England. It was music for introverts, and to this day I think it's stellar. Then around 1993, grunge music had finally just destroyed everything that I had hoped music would be. I got so sick of grunge. I hated Seattle as a result of all the grunge stuff. I mean, there was some cool, like Screaming Trees was pretty cool. The Posies were kind of cool. But at the time I didn't even understand that, because I got so sick of Soundgarden, and I got sick of Pearl Jam, Smashing Pumpkins. Just either shit or get off the pot, okay? There's a line forming. I just don't want to listen to this stuff. I guess Siamese Dream is supposed to be like really brilliant, I guess, but I just didn't care for it. I mean, he was trying to sound like Smashing, or I'm sorry, My Bloody Valentine, which was a stellar band, but I just, whatever. Maybe I'll give them a chance some other time, because I actually like music inspired by Smashing Pumpkins, but I just got tired of them. I got sick of them, and I also got sick of people telling me I looked like Billy Corgan, and I still get that today, and it's annoying. I mean, if he gains like maybe 15 pounds, he might resemble me, but whatever. My frustration with the music scene really came to a head, I think, when it turned out that the Ramones were the opening act for Pearl Jam in concert when they came to town. I thought that was just bizarre, and it was just a facepalm, and I couldn't believe that was happening. And I think for close to 10 years, I just stuck my head in the sand and just didn't pay attention at all to music, because I had just given up on the possibility of there ever being decent music again. Japan. My freshman year English class, we read Cry the Beloved Country, which was a story about apartheid in South Africa. And so after we read that as a class, we had to read another book that was translated from a foreign language into English. And so we had to pick a country, and then we had to read a book that was translated in English from that country, and then do a report on that country's history and culture. And I was at a loss. I'm like, I don't know what to do. I mean, everybody's doing Africa because we had just done Cry the Beloved Country. And so I went to the librarian. I'm like, I don't know what to do. And she's like, well, how about Japan? I'm like, I guess. And she's like, well, here you go. So she picked out a book by a writer called, his name is Shisaku Endo. And the book was The Samurai. And I read this book, and it was just this exotic, beautiful story. I'm like, wow, the samurai. I knew about samurai, right? They're the guys with the swords, right? And so after I finished reading that book, and it was a really profound book. I read about Japan. I read about its history. I fell in love with Nobunaga and the life that he lived and how he unified Japan. It's interesting how he's demonized a lot. Nobunaga, in video games and anime and stuff. I need to kind of look into that. I don't know why. I mean, I thought he was pretty kick-ass. But so, and then I did this paper on Japan, and from that time I fell in love with the country, and it just grew from there. And about that, soon after that, I started discovering anime. I'm like, oh, Robotech, that's anime. Voltron, okay, yeah, cool. And then I started finding there were companies like Animego and US Manga Corps that they were releasing stuff subtitled, and so you can actually, I found they had one video store that the guy actually would rent out anime on VHS, and that was just the coolest thing. I fell in love with Bubblegum Crisis. That was just really cool. Back to the topic of girls. There were some girls I wanted to make out with in high school, but most of them were anime characters. Yeah, go ahead and laugh. It's true. Especially Lena from Bubblegum Crisis. Wow, she was my favorite. Short black hair, and occasionally she even wore glasses. So, the thing is, keep in mind, in the late 80s and early 90s, girls, they had this poof. They would have hair that would go down, and they'd have this big poof. And it was just the most retarded, stupid thing, and I'm really glad that finally disappeared. It took forever. One of the worst things about the 80s was poofy hair. And these girls, they would just have this. It was just stupid looking. Oh, there was this one girl I liked. She wore glasses, and she had a fun personality, crazy sense of humor, good taste in music. I mean, I would start singing a song by Jesus and Mary Chain and electronic, and then she would pick up, and then we'd be singing together. But I was just a friend. And I just, at the time, I didn't have the maturity to handle that concept of being just a friend with girls, because I'd rather make out with them. And if that didn't ever happen, then it's like, well, what's the point in being just friends? I was 16 or 17 years old at the time. So, but she did have a really profound influence on my sense of humor and encouraged me to just enjoy my childhood stuff. I mean, she would watch Sesame Street and just get a kick over Elmo, and then we would say, you know what, Grover just doesn't get enough attention on Sesame Street anymore ever since that little red Elmo guy came along. My friend, my friend Matt, he showed me a Gundam model for the first time, and I'm like, wow, this is cool. This is from Japan. It's a big, cool looking robot, and the Gundam, the hand, you can actually move the finger would wrap around the trigger of the rifle and stuff. I thought that was just so cool. And, I started getting back into science fiction books. I would just read a lot before class, after class, whatever. Teachers kind of noticed I'd always have a book in my hand, and they appreciated that. About the same time, I met this older guy. He was in his 20s or so. He saw that I had this Robotech book, and he's like, "Hey, you're into Robotech?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And so he was, he grew up more in the 70s than I did, and he remembers stuff like Captain Harlock and Yamato, which was called Star Blazers over here, and Gundam and stuff like that. And he helped me. I built my first Macross Valkyrie with him, and he taught me how to do it, and that was a pretty cool experience. I was firmly cemented into being a total freak, weirdo, anime nerd, whatever. I wore this Lum shirt. I wore this shirt to school a lot, and I still got called fag. I mean, why would they say that when I'm wearing a shirt like this? I got in trouble with some of the teachers, the feminist teachers, well, you shouldn't wear that. I was just this eccentric, weird kid, and I was a fashion anarchist, and I would still wear I would peg my pants, roll them up tight, like an 80s skater would do that. I still did that. I'd wear houndstooth pants with a green plaid sports jacket. My dad had this 60s sports jacket. It was pretty cool, hand me down. I would purposely clash. I would wear Argyle socks just for the heck of it. My hair was my hairstyle was a early 90s bowl cut, and I had really long bangs that would just hang down in front of my eyes, kind of like an anime character. Ferris Bueller was cool, so I got this beret, and I'm thinking I'd be cool like Ferris Bueller, but I had these people, they thought I was a fascist or something. I'd wear this trench coat my dad had when he was in the Air Force in the 60s. My weekend rituals, I would watch Blade Runner and Empire Strikes Back all the time, on a Friday or Saturday night. If you've read my webpage, I wrote about, I went to the Bradbury building and visited there in Los Angeles, downtown Los Angeles, where they filmed much of the movie Blade Runner, and that was just a really cool experience for me. And so if you read that on my website, you're already familiar with the story. But I would just listen to this, I would just watch these movies, and I'd also listen to music a lot too, and that's how I spent my time alone. I would write poetry. I was all sensitive and shit, and I thought that if I wrote poetry, then it would convince girls to make out with me. And I wrote a poem, and I later in college I submitted it to the college annual magazine, and I won a prize in poetry. But get this, the poem was inspired by Robotech / Macross, and I actually took a scene from Macross, wrote a poem about it, and I won an award from it. That was pretty cool. Talk about being a nerd. My junior year of high school, it was pretty rocky. I kind of lost that one girl who was a friend of mine. Just kind of distanced myself from her. Now, junior year, it's about the same time, my friend Matt, he was enjoying his Catholic private school a little bit too much, and his grades were failing. So his parents stuck him in public school where I was. So he came to school and he saw what a social outcast I was, and people would call me fag for wearing Argyle socks and penny loafers and stuff. And so he really distanced himself from me. And he wanted to be part of the crowd, but that crowd would make fun of me and laugh at me when I would walk by. But he never defended me. He didn't make fun of me, he didn't laugh, but he just went along with it. And he only spoke to me when nobody else was around. He made sure that nobody could see him talking to me. Junior or senior year of high school, my friend Nathan, he introduced me to using BBSs. He's like, "Does your computer have a modem?" I'm like, "Yeah." So he's like, you know what a BBS is?" I'm like, "No, we don't even know what to do with the modem." He's like, "Well, let me show you." So a BBS, for all you kids out there, this is before the internet became big. Everybody had the internet, right? You would dial into somebody's computer, and somebody would set up a computer with a dedicated phone line that would receive incoming phone calls, and you could actually post messages, which that's why they called it bulletin board systems, is a BBS. And so some of them even had like 2 phone lines. Ooh, so you can actually talk to somebody. Wow. And they didn't call it IRC or whatever, it was called teleconference. And it's like typing hi, hello, hi, okay, this is boring. So I just wasn't into that, all that talking to people kind of stuff. So but they had forums. And actually I became a moderator of a science fiction novel forum, talking about books, science fiction books and stuff. And I started learning about other science fiction novels like Ringworld and Larry Niven, and people who really were into Lord of the Rings and that kind of stuff. So I started learning a lot more. Some of those BBSs had FidoNet. FidoNet would actually work its way around the country. Like the BBSs would dial each other and distribute the packets of information, so you can actually get on like this nationwide forum on stuff. Like they had a Star Wars Echo, they had an anime Echo, they had a Robotech Echo, they had a Blade Runner Echo, and then they also had AnimeNet, which is basically like FidoNet, but it was all just for anime stuff. And I was like, wow, this is so cool. Senior year of high school, I met another girl. I met her off of BBS, and she went to a different school. She was a year younger than me. Kind of dated her, at least I would consider it maybe dating, but it's like, hey mom, can you drive me to, take so-and-so to the mall so we can, do stuff. Much like myself, she was a real nonconformist, and actually she refused to shave her legs, and I thought that was pretty cool. I thought that, all right, good for you. Be different. That's good. We watched anime together, and despite her not wearing glasses, I was trying to strategize on how I can make out with her, but that never happened, I guess. And she had problems. I won't go into that. So eventually I kind of had to distance myself from her just because it was really dragging me down. By my high school graduation, I was definitely becoming much more secure in my nerdiness and my social awkwardness. And I'm like, you know what, it's okay. It doesn't, if people don't like it, it doesn't matter. I was a geek, a nerd. I was an outcast among the outcasts, and didn't have any real close friends. My friend Matt, we just kind of went our different ways, and just kind of lost track of him after graduation. I learned not to pretend to be somebody else that I wasn't. I just learned to just accept myself for who I was, who I am, and the people who deserve to be popular, I saw that they were the ones who were kind to everyone, but quite often they were not the ones who were popular, and that's unfortunately that's just the way life is. And so I came to realize that being nice to others, despite how they treated me, was the best way. Revenge only just exacerbated the situation. These jocks, like these jocks in photography class, they would be all, dude, you going to the party tonight? Yeah. Oh man, I was driving my truck, and like, oh man, my truck. Like, oh, I was like at this red light. Whoa, truck. Yeah, I'm gonna drink some beer at the party tonight. Yeah, oh man, whoa. They picked on me, and there was like this guy who was like this gay dude, and we would talk a lot in school, in the class, and there was this skater guy who hated everybody. I talked to him a lot, and these jocks would like give us a hard time, but yet in the photography dark room, I would help them out. I was nice to them, and then eventually, they stopped making fun of me. So, but that doesn't always work though. That doesn't always happen. Sometimes you can be nice to somebody, and they're still going to treat you like crap. I came to realize that the person who was probably the nicest in history to everybody and who did the kindest acts to others was Christ, and they killed him for it. And so people hated him for it, and they had him put to death. I could fare no better. There's no way I could be a nicer person than he was. So, still, I will just be a nice person to others. Except for YouTube trolls. YouTube trolls are just, I'm not even sure if they're really human or not. I mean, these people are pretty stupid. When I got to college, I was free from all of the crap that I had to put up with being an outcast. And in college, people left me alone. And I'm like, wow, this is great. And from then on, I actually enjoyed studying. I excelled, and my grades got so much better. I was free from all of the social pressures from high school, and I did well in school, and I really enjoyed studying. And I would take all sorts of different classes they had so many different classes to choose from. I really enjoyed that. And I took some more programming classes, computer programming classes, but I ended up just realizing it just wasn't for me. I majored in business because I was able to just take brief calculus, and I was able to avoid like the regular calculus class, and because I ended up just dropping out of that as well, just like I did in high school. One winter I was sick in bed, and I taught myself HTML, and I started putting together my website, and it's grown to be, ever since 16 years ago, it's grown to be what it is now. If you need me to tell you what the URL is, if you need to have that explained to you, then you probably don't need to go there. It was December of '94. That was the winter after I had graduated high school. I graduated in '94. Started going to college in the fall of '94. And by that December, I had picked up this magazine called Mangazine. It was a magazine on pop culture, Japanese pop culture and language learning, and they had this article on Japanese pop bands. And so I bought this book, this magazine, and I read through it. And at the very end, they had the want ads and stuff. And there was a little thing on how get Japanese pen pals. I'm like, okay, that sounds cool. So I was thinking maybe I would get like a guy as my pen pal, and we would just talk about video games and plastic robots and stuff. But it was actually this really sweet, charming girl who wrote me back, and we wrote each other once a month. This was handwritten letters, and she would send me letters written on like scented paper, and I'm like, oh, it smells like a girl. And I was just really smitten by her. And what was nice was that we would get to know each other's personalities and just focus on that. And we started to really kind of start liking each other. And then a few years later, about 3 years later, I traveled to Japan for the first time, and I was like, I like you a lot. Do you want to be my girlfriend? And she's like, yeah. I'm like, wow, that was easy, cool. There wasn't any mind games or anything like that. So it just went back and forth from there. That eventually We would travel back and forth, visiting each other, and eventually I proposed to her and got married, and that was after I had graduated college, and I got a job teaching English in Japan. But back to college, though, I really got to know a lot of people, and I was able to be myself, and it was just nice because just people were just genuinely nice to me, and I actually became somewhat popular. I had a couple of jobs on campus, so people got to know me quite well, and it was a smaller school that I had gone to, so college was really good times. I appreciate the kind feedback I received about my videos, and I'm glad that there's at least a few people out there who enjoy watching the videos on my channel. I don't. Some people might have a goal to have as many subscribers or whatever. I don't care. As long as there's a few people out there who appreciate just spreading the geek love, then it's worth it, and I appreciate it. Sometimes I take heat because of my hobbies and stuff, but just people are stupid, and if people give you crap about your hobbies, never pay attention to them. They're not worth it. Just enjoy what you enjoy. I find it ironic and hilariously hypocritical when I get trolled by worthless morons on YouTube who insinuate that because I have a large anime, manga, toy, game, plastic model collection, stuff like this, they say that that I'm just socially inept, and that I'm never gonna get laid, And then I check out their YouTube channels, and I find them plastered with stuff like anime and video games, or some other type of mania. Like this one guy had all these race cars and stuff. So it's like the pot calling the kettle black. If anybody's going to give me crap for my hobbies, it's not going to be anybody who spends their time posting on video game forums and stuff. I've seen people who've linked my videos on different forums and such, and their judgmental attitude is hilarious. Sex should never be viewed as an accomplishment in life. You're kind of stupid. I will say you are stupid if you think that way. That is really dumb, and it really shows how you really don't understand the concept of love and commitment and marriage and all that kind of stuff if you're thinking that way. It's you're not going to live a very happy life if that's your attitude. Again, if we're all nerds, then we should all get along. We should support each other and stand together and just be good to each other. I don't care if it's cosplayers or furries or anything like that. We should be all in this together, and just be good to each other. So let's just be good to each other, and let us unite under the banner of geekdom, nerddom, whatever you want to call it, and not be divisive. One more thing I'll point out is that if there's nothing immature, I believe there's nothing immature about collecting comic books or video games, or watching cartoons or whatever. People will pass that off as being immature, but I really will challenge that notion. Being immature is someone who is incapable of making decisions for themselves, who will not be self-supportive. Maturity is about how you react to life's situations. Maturity is refraining from slander and gossip. Maturity is controlling your anger. Maturity is being good to others. That is what maturity is really about. It doesn't matter how many action figures you have. Maturity is how you deal with the situations that life presents you and how you treat others. And in that respect, I think a lot of people on YouTube, or just in life in general, really fail the true maturity test. I'll also mention that maturity is also learning from your mistakes, and more importantly, learning from other people's mistakes so that you don't make those same mistakes yourself. So anyhow, I've been ranting for quite a long time, and again, this is the first time I've really just spoken in front of the camera like this. I'm not gonna make a habit of it, but it's just some stuff I wanted to just discuss. And anyhow, thanks for watching. I have no idea how many people will actually watch this entire video of all, both parts of this video. But if you do, thanks. And if you have any kind of feedback at all, let me know. And I'll talk to you later.